Hello, fluffy gamers! We are doing deep dive into thopters. What blueprint parts actually do, which part matter, and which are mostly fluff. And I mean deep dive. I tested every single thopter and the parts, and that gave me over 950 data points. And now my brain hurts. But you get the graphs and clips that we hopefully can understand. Do schematic wings really make you faster, or are they just expensive to build? Which upgrade actually helps you escape a worm? And what affects the altitude loss? Those and many other questions hopefully get answered within this video. There are three thopter classes: Scout, Assault and Carrier. Scouts go from MK4 to MK6, Assaults MK5, MK6, and Carrier is the only model with no variant levels. All parts are mix and matched within the same class. MK4 Scout can use MK5 or MK6 engine, wings or chassis parts. Bodies primarily give armor, and the main frame is where the fuel is held. While most performance comes from engines, wings and boosters. That's a great tip for new players. You can save on the body cost and still get big speed gains from better wings or engines. Engines affect speeds only when wings are flapping. For example, ascending speeds can go from 64 km an hour up to 98 km an hour with higher tier engines. If you escape worms a lot, a better engine is a worthwhile investment. Engines also slightly affect boost behavior. Boosters only change boosting performance. They don't change non-boost speeds. Two booster types exist: regular and the blueprint. The blueprint booster doesn't raise the top boost speed, instead it overheats slower, so you can boost for longer before the overheat alert. Booster performance is complex. Engine temperature matters. Hotter engine, faster overheat. And ambient weather affects the engine temperature. So I did booster tests at 1 degree Celsius at the night for the consistent results. Cooldown times I report are measured from the overheat alert to the moment you can use the boosters again. So under ideal conditions. Also, the closer the booster temp is to the engine temp during cooldown, the slower the cooldown happens. So, full cooldown time is situational. Generators slightly increase boost time length and help cooldown time, and improve fuel efficiency. Though the last one is something I didn't test much. I don't think most players worry about fuel usage. So let's wing it. Base wings affect straight down speed, gliding and boosting while gliding. So if you glide a lot, as most players do, upgrading wings should be higher on your list. Blueprint wings give small forward speed spa, but also bring maneuver penalties, and well, let me just say it, they are kinda disappointing. Like, technically the description doesn't lie, but small slowdowns in other directions, like ascending, descending sideways, backwards, are not designed for the speed. Blueprint wings can make forward flight a little faster, but the gains are small and often come with maneuverability cost. Blueprint parts can be hard or expensive to obtain. Example, MK4 Albatross wing can be found only in testing station number 60, and that's not easiest place when you just built your first thopter. MK6 Albatross wings rotate in deep desert loot and cost a lot of resources. Not an early game buy, just for plus 11 kilometers an hour. I mean, come on, 188 melange for 11 kilometers? That's like expensive fancy coffee for slightly faster thopter. A weird but consistent result is when you combine blueprint wings with a next year engine. Parts math sometimes yields slightly higher than expected numbers. My guess is that there are hidden decimals in the game stats that round in a ways we don't see. Anyway, rocket bots come in MK5 and MK6 variants. The difference is mostly a damage, armor and the cost. The speed penalty is the same between them. Rocket bots significantly debuff speeds, so they are PvP trade-off. More firepower for worse handling and speeds. Example low point, an ascending MK4 with blueprint wings plus the rockets can get maximum 48 kilometers an hour. That is the slowest thopter speed in this game, unless you hit the wall. There are a few other scout bits, like scanner and the storage module, but they don't affect timings or speeds. Also, the turn rating that you can see on the blueprint wing descriptions is something I didn't measure. Turn rating depends on multiple inputs and speeds, and the system uses ease in, ease out behavior. So in short, measuring a single turning time is noisy and isn't very useful for most players. Carriers are the only case where turning while stationary might matter. So let's talk about the Assault class thopters. Assaults come with MK5 and MK6 only. They can equip boosters and storage or boosters and rocket bots, because assaults have their dedicated slot for the booster. Like the scouts previously, most other rules are the same for the assaults. Assaults are generally slower to get their top speeds, and the final kilometer is like watching a paint dry, but the paint is your thopter trying to go fast. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Also, the maximum gliding speed sometimes shifts by 1 kilometer an hour. It could be a server lag or something to do with updates. It's just something to note. Maneuver timings are slower than the scouts. For the assaults, I included stopping times in the charts, because stopping takes noticeably longer. For example, a base MK5 takes about 1.8 seconds to reach 50 kilometers an hour in forward flight, and stopping from the same or higher speed takes about the same time. With MK6 you do see some maneuvers dipping below 1 second, but many maneuvers still take longer than that. Overall, they are not for the best casual flying. PvP and loot carrying is what they are good for. Also, have you ever wondered what happens if you are in a spice explosion? I had this question, so I went and found me some bubbling spice. Then waited and waited. Nothing. Interesting. Or boring. Anyway, if random testing like this is your thing, hit the subscribe. Helps me justify spending hundreds of hours on these experiments. So let's talk about the biggest thopter, the carrier. This one is a bit different. It doesn't have storage or rocket pods, and it's the only thopter in its class. But like other thopters, it does have blueprint options for the boosters and the wings. But the biggest difference is that the carrier can carry and pick up other vehicles with its harness. Let's check out the boosters first. Booster times are slightly longer than the other thopters, but the cooldown is double compared to the others. At first glance, you might think it's impossible to escape with carrier, especially when Mk6 assault gliding speed is about the same as the carrier boost speed with a cargo. But there is a little trick. If you tap Q to boost, release W and hold down space, the carrier will reach 199 km an hour. If we also hold down W, it caps out at 185 km an hour. It's a strange mechanic that works on carriers. I'm not sure if it's a bug, but I can confirm that this speed has changed over time. It used to go over 200 km an hour. So maybe it's a feature, not a bug. Another common question is it better to hook up cargo from low point or high point? Good question, because when you pilot a carrier, you may notice some kind of a speed capping when the harness is reeling in. Luckily, I know how to record videos, so I set up a test. I used my neighbor's roof at 360 altitude, hooked from 380 meter and 415 meter altitude, and then ascended up to 600 meters. Side by side, the long harness does show speed capping, but at 600 meters, the difference is only 100 milliseconds. The reason is simple. The speed cap effect evens out the travel time. Starting from the higher altitude shortens the length of the path, but the cap keeps the duration equal. So it really doesn't matter where you hook it from low or high. The only reason to start higher would be to reduce worm risk, and even then it's just few meters of difference. Now about carrier wings. Only case where the blueprint wing description is almost correct. With rock wings, the only speed that becomes lower is descending, and only by 1 km an hour. All the other speeds are either the same or faster. The trade-off, as expected, is maneuvering. For example, in the same cargo test, reaching 600 meters with rock wings would take 1 second longer. But for long-distance flights with cargo, rock wings are better. You gain extra 12 km an hour for your speed. Also to note down is that having cargo attached or not does not affect any maneuvering speeds. The last thing I wanna talk about is altitude loss. It's not based on the wing type, but on 3 factors. A thopter class, where your center dot aims, obviously, and the speed. Speed is the main indicator. The slower you glide, the faster you lose altitude. From my testing, the altitude system also doesn't feel linear, so there isn't simple formula to calculate it. And to be fair, it's not like you can do much about it anyway. But here is where the center dot aim comes in. With the south thopters, you have a bit of wiggle room where you aim your center dot before you start losing speed. That small difference actually adds up. It can cost you hundreds of meters of flight distance. It won't matter if you are boosting or flying short hops. But if you want long glide, this is worth remembering. And that's it about this absolutely massive thopter deep dive. My brain is fried. Your brain is probably fried. But hey, now we know exactly how much those fancy blueprint parts actually help. And as always, have fun and stay fluffy. Bye bye bye.